Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Trendy Trading. My name is Jonathan. Today is the 2nd of October 2022. Let's go ahead and get started with the broad market analysis. First things first, you can see here using Earn Whispers from Twitter. It's a pretty quiet week. I'm not looking forward to any of these names reporting. Matter of fact, I probably won't be trading off of any of this. Well, you know what? I take that back. Let's take a look at Constellation Brands on Thursday, and that's probably the only thing that is catching my attention on the screen right now. The next thing that I want to go over is going to be your U.S. economic calendar. This is free. This is right here on Market Watch, guys. You could take a look at this. And on Market Watch, if we just kind of come down and take a look at this week in itself, you can see here on October the 3rd, which is going to be tomorrow, we have some data coming out. We have job openings. On Wednesday, we have ADP employment. That's going to be important. Thursday, some initial jobless claims. And then Friday, non-farm payroll, unemployment rate, and so forth. So again, all of this in here is just a catalyst to move price into supply or demand. Pretty straightforward, okay? Now let's get into the good stuff, which is going to be my take on what to expect on SPY QQQ. We'll talk about the dollar, some TNX, fear and greed, and so forth in the skew. And then I'll give you my overall sentiment going into this week. So before we get started, let's go ahead and pull up the charts from last week. That's right, from last week. So let's pull this up and let's look at our levels and how they did. And I'm sure you guys that are subscribed to the newsletter, you get to see all this, and we are trying our best to update you. And you can see that these levels have worked very, very well. The idea here is that we go long over the green level into targets 1, 2, or 3, whichever ones come. You bring those stops up and you trim. You can see here that we hit T1 out of the green. We hit it again on that next day, and then we finally hit T2 before we rejected. Notice that price could not get over this cloud. Remember, this cloud is resistance until proven otherwise. It was getting very close to looking like some sort of cycle change, and again, if we started to see some sort of base above this cloud, I'd start getting really excited, but that's not what we saw. We actually saw price break down below this 360.05 and then closing. And it actually was pointed out to us that we hit this to the tick. The low on SPY this week was 357.02, and that was exactly target 1 on the SPY. Notice on the Qs, we basically had the same look. We hit T1, we hit T2, we almost hit T3, which was your supply zone. We rejected. We could not close or base above that cloud. Let me just go ahead and show you really fast what I mean. So what you would want to see here, at least on the 4 hours, that we can close above there, maybe come back and retest that cloud and then build higher highs off that cloud. And then the cloud, what it will end up doing is kind of turning up. Okay, these EMAs will turn up and then they become support. But unfortunately, it just continues to dive deeper. And you can see once we broke down below that 269.51, we did hit T1 to the downside as well. Now this one wasn't to the tick, but man, if we open this up and look very closely, we sure were close. Probably just off just a couple pennies there. So again, great levels, great trading from a swing perspective. You could have hit T1, T2, and so forth, and then got an opportunity once we broke below to go short here. Now you can see we did flush the 269.51. I believe that was on Thursday. I went over this and coached about it and said I wouldn't swing to the downside off of this. I would actually be waiting for prices to push up into that cloud. And we taught that live, and sure enough, we did push right up into the cloud and then towards that upper neutral, and then boom, break back down. Remember, if you're trying to look to buy puts, if you're not trading aggressively off of this level, wait for price to move back up into resistance before you buy those puts. You don't want to be trying to purchase puts on the lows, okay? Same thing with calls. Your better risk to reward is buying calls down at lower levels, okay? All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to get into this week's look. All right, and that's going to be, again, once the neutral strategy for SPY and QQQ. Now, I'll be fair with you and tell you, I've spent hours today just coming up with these simplistic looking lines, right? It looks really easy, but there's a lot behind this. I'm using Fibonacci on several different time frames, and then I'm using supply and demand and using that synergy to come up with the best levels I can. Now, the neutral here is pretty tight. You can see that 269.69 by 266. 266. That's on QQQ. And then over here, you can see this is the look on a 4-hour and this is the look on the daily. Okay, so again, this is your cues. These are my levels to the upside. Expect those to be resistance until they're not. So what I'm saying is, if for some reason you decide to go long on an intraday play, I would be bringing those stops up as soon as we hit these targets. We know that the moves to the upside have been short-lived, so just be careful. Don't hope for things, just play the technicals. So again, hit targets, trim, bring those stops up. If for some reason we break down, I want you to also notice that this 264.5 is very close to 266. Anytime we open up into a lower level, let's just say that we gap down tonight off of any sort of fear. If we were to gap down into this target and we open up here, I'm actually looking for a buy. Okay, so again, I'm looking for a buy off of these levels. Again, if we open up at lower levels, I'd rather buy calls as long as we can start to reclaim those pivot highs in the morning session. All right, then I'm looking to go long off of these. Stops go in. Just like that. I don't want to go short if we gap down into a support level. Okay, now if we just open up into the neutral again, if we open up the neutral and we break down, sure, go short, looking to trim at 264.50, bring those stops down, and try to ride that all the way to our next targets or get stopped out on profits. Okay, so that again is QQQ. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, go ahead and do that. Those are our levels. And notice up here I have what's called short cover rally. If for some reason we actually rally this week and we break over the cloud, I feel like we could top out around the 283.58 level. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the SPY. All right, and I did this a little backwards. I usually do SPY, then QQQ. Okay. All right, so here's SPY. Let's make sure we are on the right date. We are, and here's your daily. All right, and this is going to be our smaller time frame, the 4-hour. And you can see here, again, 358.99 by 354.32. It's pretty tight considering the volatility out there. Your levels to the upside, go ahead and screenshot that as well. I expect these to be resistance until proven otherwise to the upside. For any reason we were to get some sort of big pop, then I think we could see upwards towards 377. Again, these clouds are resistance until proven otherwise. If we gap down into the level, wait. I believe we're going to get a pop off of these levels. Wait until we move up into resistance before you look for the short. Okay. Again, I don't want to be buying puts if we gap down into a support level. There's your levels. Let's go ahead and move on. And I do have lower levels, and I should have pointed this out on the cues. So I have what's called like a capitulation target. So for some reason, the market decides to have a capitulation event. I do believe that SPY could move down towards the 289, 318 level. Okay. And just really fast, let's look at QQQ again. And let's see if I have that level on here. Yeah, there we go. Capitulation target for me, 232 on the cues. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're going to come over here into my trading view. All right, and let's bring up, let's see, where are we? I'm going to find it for you guys here in a second. Yeah, let's go there. All right, so here we go. And this is going to be the bigger picture. I haven't changed anything on here. This is going to be from a monthly standpoint. And I just want to go over this really quick with you and the notes that we have. The notes are the same as last week. So back to the relief bounce zone, which we came into. Levels below 350 and 338. So we annotated that. And I said the inside and down above makes me feel like 377 is the high for the year unless something big happens for the bulls. When I say something big, either a catalyst in the market, okay, or we start to reclaim major levels. And again, we're going to be doing this weekly, so make sure that you get this information. I will update. Now, if we have some sort of big event during the week, I will obviously update you then as well. Right now, this is what I'm saying. Because of the technicals, I feel like 377 is the high for the year, unless something big happens. And again, I will annotate and let you know. Update for 10/2/22, which is today, there is none. Okay, but looking at this, I want to point out very closely. Let's go ahead and clean this up. We're going to hide all the indicators. Looks like this. And let's just look at structure. Okay, so we have this double inside and down formation. So we're creating supply right here. And right here on the quarterly, we have supply. So again, 2 supply zones to the upside. All right. And as you can see, we're leaving this zone pretty nasty. All right, this is a pretty big nasty selling candle that we have so far, and you can see this structure in here. Matter of fact, this structure looks a lot like the Qs, and I'll show you that here in a second. Where we found some love several weeks ago, but it looks like the Qs are leading, and we know that they were leading to the upside, they're leading to the downside, and they're kind of showing us what to expect. Okay, so what I'm saying is this structure was on the Qs, but we reached it way before the SPY, and I'll show you that here in a second. Okay, so we are in this zone now. Okay, we're in that zone, and what happens is this line up here becomes resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, so this line here on a higher time frame is around that 361. Give me 1 second here, 361.64 or so. All right, and until price starts to reclaim above there, maybe we get some sort of relief bounce off of this monthly chart. All right, now targets to the downside, you can see the next one down here is 350.27, 337.73, and this zone is pretty wide. The support of that zone comes in around 322 to 320. The origin of this move again started back in 2020, and you can see it's right there, and we are pulling back towards the 50. Let's go ahead and show you that with some Fibonacci's. Very important. This doesn't have to be exact. I'm just trying to give you very close levels here. We're going to right click on here, and let me get to norm right there. All right, so you can see we actually broken down below the 50, and guess what? The 618 is your golden Fibonacci, and if we come back to test that, and as long as that holds, that means this rally from 2020 is still in play. Okay, that means the trend of the rally of 2020 has not broken. All right, let's come over here to QQQ. All right, so I'm gonna snap some fibs on here really quick just so you guys can see this. Okay, and you can see we hit that 618. It was a beautiful bounce. I mean, basically from 270 all the way into about 332, things were looking pretty good. We're making lower highs. We got that same inside and down formation forming off the monthly. But what's interesting about this is now we're below the 618. We have broken the trend from 2020. So this saved it here, and now it's broken. All right, as long as we stay under that level, again around 268.94, and again this is an estimate. I didn't turn on the magnet, so it might not be perfect, but we are below that 618, and that is an issue as far as this trend is concerned. Next targets to the downside could bring 260.02, 253, 235, 208. You get the point. All right, but there's a lot of things coming up. We got elections, we have earnings, those type of things. So don't get overwhelmed with marrying the bear thesis, because really the market feels a little oversold. Okay, and we are coming into a very crucial levels, and we got again elections and so forth. So we could flush under the 618 and then reclaim, and that's what I would be watching for on the Qs. We're still going to short if needed, but just know that there's a lot of signs, just like I said last week, there's a lot of signs saying that we could get a relief bounce soon, and we'll get more into that here shortly, okay? All right, here's that structure though that I wanted to show you that we see on the SPY. Notice that we came back to this structure like several months ago. All right, a little bit different than the SPY. Now we're breaking through that structure almost. This green line is kind of like the end all be all of that structure. But just notice, we've come back to it several times. We're breaking the 618, whereas the SPY is just now getting into it. So very important to understand that part. All right. Overall sentiment on this, no updates, just saying that the overall trend is broken as long as we stay under that 268.94 level. Okay. Again, that's SPY and the QQQ. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to come down here into the dollar. So very important. We've been tracking this for a very long time. This is not our first rodeo with the dollar. What I like about this, and I'll just make it very quick and simple, All right, I want to be using the monthly chart. Um, this in itself, okay? So get all of it in there. I want you guys to always make sure you're looking at the entire picture. All right, if we were to use fibs from the all-time high, okay? And again, I'm not using the magnet. Coming down to the low, you can see that we got over what I consider the bearish channel, okay? That's once we break that 38.2. Once we break that 38.2 of an all-time bearish channel, things start to rip, and you can see that the dollar started to rip. Now, on a bullish side, meaning if the dollar starts pulling in and pulling back, we could see the market bounce, okay, is that we see a topping wick. And this is the first thing that I want you guys to take note of. When you start to see a topping wick, typically there's selling pressure there. And going forward, if we can't take out that high, I do believe that we continue to move down lower. So really just mark that high and know that if we start to cross over that, guess what? The market's not finished with us, okay? The bears still are out for blood, all right? Now, on the monthly, notice the inside and up formation. Again, I think this is a support area. This is where I'd like to see the dollar come back to, and that support area is around 100.9, okay? So overall sentiment for the dollar, top and wick is a good thing. We're not out of the clear yet. I'd like to see price really break back down below this 38.2 before I start getting excited for some kind of bigger relief bounce in the market. Okay. All right. So the next thing that I want to show you guys is the TNX, or the Treasury. All right, now nothing to update on this either. This is the same chart that I give you guys over the last several weeks. You can see our resistance level worked very well. On the Treasury, what I want to see, it doesn't necessarily need to fall. What I want it to do is just calm down. All right, and I keep saying that. It hit that resistance level. We're sort of getting a topping wick. We start to break back over that yellow level. Again, be cautious. If the dollar keeps ramping up, again, be cautious. So these guys, I want you to be watching, okay? All right, let's go ahead and move on. One thing that I added in here, I can't remember if we had this last week. I think we did. We had gold in here, and so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up again. And my target was 151, so when I say 151, in that 151 area, we hit it, we bounced, we had the inside and up formations. We haven't quite got there, so this could just be some sort of relief bounce before we dig deeper into the zone. I'd prefer for gold to come into my green box and then reclaim before I do anything. I like the trajectory down, okay? When I look at this from a monthly standpoint, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down, folks, we can go back, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And then just kind of count and get an idea. There's 3 here. And then we come over here, 1, 2, 3 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So this 6 months in a row, just looking really quick at the history of gold, this is not normal. So we are very close, and we don't have to touch my level, okay? No reason to get any ego involved here. What I would like to see is it for it to come in here, but if prices continue to make higher highs on a smaller time frame, say like a daily, okay, or a 4-hour, then I think it's a trade to the upside, and I don't need to wait for the green. So this could be on watch, okay, just because it's bouncing nicely. If it starts to break down, sure, I want to create my alert. I want to make sure that we have an alert so that when we come in this area, then I start looking for buying gold or gold futures for a lot longer out. And I probably, to be very honest with you, are more interested in like a debit spread, just because gold cannot be trusted unless you're wearing it around your neck or putting it around your finger. You get my drift. That trading it's not been great for bulls, right? So just wait, be patient, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay? All right, my computer's saying I'm running low on storage, so I need to make sure that this is still recording. Good, we are good to go. We're almost finished here, all right? Next thing I want to show you guys is skew. All right, this is your hedge funds. We got a little bit of balance here. It says risk on. I'll tell you what I put for notes. I said skew equals 123 equals risk on equals I don't think so, but market could bounce here. And again, same thing that I've been telling you folks. This is saying that we're in an area where we should be looking out several months for a relief bounce. We have the dollar looking like it's sort of topping. Again, we'll probably have a better indication of that this week. You could see that the SPY and the QQQ are at very crucial levels. So I'm very excited. And the very last thing that I want to show you is going to be your fear and greed. We dropped from 24 into 15. That means we have 15 more points to downside, folks. What's another 15 points, right? But listen, we're extremely fearful. Participants are primarily on the put side. And this is how I want to end the broad market analysis. Although I love doing this and we read the market very, very well, I want you to understand inside the room, I'm very flexible. I don't have to marry either side. I have a strategy that gets me in the right side of the trade most of the time, using intraday levels and so forth. And really, I just want to be a trader right now. Okay, I like doing this and showing you the most important levels and different things that I use to gauge the market. But execution, when it comes down to it on the day, really right now is all about intraday trading until proven otherwise. That means no matter what side I trade on, I need to see 100+% before I really want to commit to a swing trade. Okay, now, that doesn't mean that I'm not starting swings. So far as my portfolio is concerned going into this week, I think I'm like 98% cash. I started some NVIDIA longs for about 49 days out, but I also have puts. Okay, I'll also have puts just in case we get some sort of capitulation event. And I feel comfortable. All right, and I hope you feel comfortable too. And if you guys have any questions about anything that I provide here, please reach out. Don't forget, we have not only have the free session going on right now for a week, but we are also the only service that we are aware of that has real time alerts straight from my brokerage account to my members within milliseconds. All right, we are fully transparent here. Proof of concept. My thought is to teach you so that you don't rely on alerts only. I want to show you how to find these setups. I also provide the indicators. They are for purchase, and we have just released our Thinkorswim indicators again, new and improved, meaning the levels are still basically the same. It's a little prettier, and we compacted things and made it a lot easier to download. We also have our Trading View indicators that you can purchase or you can rent them, which is really awesome. That way you can kind of give them a test drive and see if they work for you. Okay, guys, again, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll see you back here tonight and or tomorrow.